This is Rock Bottom with Ryan. No sugarcoating, no filters. The pain, the chaos, the truth. No bullshit. Just recovery.
In this episode, we sit down with Lizzie as she shares her powerful story of addiction, recovery, and resilience. From her earliest experiences with alcohol to the consequences of heavy drinking in college, Lizzie opens up about the family dynamics that shaped her journey, the powerful rock bottom moments that forced change, and the hope she found in building a support system. She reminds us of the vital role mental health plays in recovery and offers practical advice on relapse prevention and coping strategies. Let's get into it.
Hi, I'm Lizzie. I'm from Salt Lake City, Utah. I work in recovery. I just got my substance use disorder counseling certificate done at the school. I'm in school to get my master's degree in social work.
You are busy.
A little bit.
So Rock Bottom with Ryan is a lot of the episodes when I do one-on-one with people, I want to kind of get to know their story and history with addiction leading up to where they're at now, because it sounds like you're doing a lot right now related to recovery to help people. But before we go there, can you kind of go back into as much detail as possible into kind of where you started with any kind of drinking or drug use and sort of how it evolved into a problem that you needed to change?
Yeah, so I started drinking at like a really young age. It was about 14 where I had my first drink. 16, I was partying all the time, like every weekend. If we had long weekends, it was every day. I was at every party. Then it was obviously a problem. Like I would be the drunkest person in the room and I would drink to excess. Like I would drink until I blacked out. And that was at 16 years old. And then, going into college, there was like a newfound freedom. I ended up going to school out in Kansas to play softball in college, which ended up being probably one of the worst things I could have done. Being away from that family unit, my parents, I ended up drinking every weekend. It was like all this freedom, drinking every day pretty much. Like there was a rule, you couldn't go 48 hours before a game. So every other day we were drinking, or at least I was. Whether that be in your dorm room or at a party, it was just constant. I ended up getting in a lot of trouble my freshman year. At the end of the year, like the last week, I ran in with the cops twice. So it was like a lot of girls got kicked off the team for similar experiences at the end of the season. So it was like, you can change, like I want to bring you back, but you've got to not drink. Like there has to be no alcohol. You can't be at parties with alcohol. If you get caught sophomore year, like it's over.
Are you open to going into a little detail about what happened when you were dealing with cops?
Oh yeah. Well, no, my first time it was just at the dorms. The basketball girls threw this massive party where it was like the jungle juice, like they mixed a ton of alcohol in a big tub. And it was just like this tiny dorm room with like 50 people in it. And the cops, of course, they showed up. Like it was so obvious that there was a party and it's in the dorms and all of that. So we got stuck. Like we ran to the front window and the cops were at the front window. So we're trying to open the window, but it's like they're right there. So they're like going back inside. So a bunch of our friends ended up escaping through the back window. But I just remember me and my one friend were sitting on the couch and I was just like, I will do anything right now. Like I, right in that moment, knew I could not be a criminal because I was going to snitch. I was like, I will tell you whatever you need to know as long as I don't get a ticket or go to jail. Like I cannot go to jail. My dad will flip out. So that was the first time. And they ended up letting us go. They talked to our coach. So that was the furthest it went with that. And then I was the only person. Did you got any
leeway because you were an athlete?
Yeah, I think definitely it was a college sport town. Like that's all they had. It was a small town in Kansas and all they had was their sports. So I do think the cops favored us more because we were all athletes. Yeah. And then we ended up going to Nebraska and everybody else that got in trouble stayed back because they wrote the names on the cups. So even the girls that ran It was like they're asking us, who is this person? And I'm like, oh, I have no idea, but it's like really my teammate. So a couple of people got in trouble and they all ended up staying home for our like last baseball, softball party in Nebraska at the lake. And we were good. I stayed sober. I was sober for the good 5 hours, probably like from 4 to 9. So like 9 rolled around and I was like, well, the police haven't showed up. Everybody's drinking, it's all good. Like we're in the middle of nowhere. Like it's hard to find. And I started drinking and it was like those bottles of Smirnoff that are like that big. And I drank probably 1.5 of them in a very short amount of time. And we're sitting by the fire and we just see we don't see, because there's no lights, like no headlights or anything, but we just obviously see cars rolling up, like 10 of them coming through the back dirt roads. And we just like caught it at the last minute. And we're like, maybe it's from another school or something. Cause they obviously knew we were out there. And so they rolled in and I had like a split second to decide what to do. And girl was sitting on my lap. I threw her off and I just ran into the woods and I didn't make it very far. I tripped once and then I got up and I was good and I tripped again and I hit my head on a log. Like just the worst escape plan ever. So I crawled in a bush and I was just sitting there for like an hour and a half. I'm not kidding. They were giving out minor possessions. They had the light shining in the woods, but they didn't want to come in the woods. So they're like, come out if anybody's in there. And, I was just laying there and I was not giving it up. And a rat crawled over my head. And in that moment, I was like, I think I'm going to just go get the ticket, because that was just the worst experience. And I was all cut up. And then somebody called me and they're like, oh, they're gone. And I was like, well, thank God I didn't get caught, right? And I get back to school. Everything's cool for like the first few days. And then I get a text from my coach. And one of the girls had gotten an MIP from the softball team. And the Nebraska cops emailed our school. So this girl started telling.
So that was the second time.
Yeah, that was the second time. And I didn't even really get in trouble. It was just like the fact I was even there.
Yeah, and then
Just
the
my
school found
coach.
out about it and everything.
Yeah. So I got almost kicked off the team. So that was it. No
Not
alcohol.
kicked off. Okay. So not kicked off. And then so what happened? Like, were you very sheltered as a kid before you got into college sports and all that? Like, what
But
made you
yeah,
kind of,
my dad was a cop. My
okay.
mom is an investigative reporter. So yeah, I was raised by like very strict. I was also the oldest, which they say is sometimes the worst because they're just new parents. So they were so strict with me. I mean, we'll just compare it. They were the most strict with me. My baby sister is in med school right now and they just let her run wild, at 16, just doing whatever she wanted, sleeping over with her boyfriend every night. Like it was just, you know, a 16-year-old's dream my sister was living, let her get a tattoo. Like I was getting tattoos at 16 without them knowing in somebody's apartment. So they obviously, I was always breaking the rules
Yeah.
for
So you
sure.
felt like you had to hide things because you were so
But
under
yeah,
watch. Yeah.
I became an ultimate liar because my dad I love him, but he's crazy motherfucker. He'll sit there and just, he'll grill you and ask a million questions. So you have to be like a cop. So you have to be a good liar.
Yeah, my dad is the same, and I had kind of a similar thing with my two younger sisters. I felt like their childhoods were so much easier than mine, and all the freedom
Absolutely.
they had, and they, um, but like my dad, yeah, it's like every time I would try to lie to him, he would just give me this like piercing look, like he could see right through
Yeah.
me, and I just gave up after a while.
Just anxiety. Yeah. I'm like, that's where my anxiety stems from, is having to like lie to my parents
Yeah,
or
same.
getting that phone call when you're like somewhere you're not supposed to be and just like hoping that they haven't like caught on. It's just too
Yeah.
much.
So what
So
happened? I kind of cut you off to
no,
hear
you're
about
fine.
the arrest.
Yeah, we rolled into sophomore year. I didn't drink for 4 months. Like, that was good. Like, I didn't go to parties. I wouldn't leave the house other than softball, gym, school. Like, I was on point. And I ended up getting foot surgery in the off season because I was like, my foot hurt so bad. And I had played on it for a year and a half at that point, and I had to get a bone like shaved off the back. So it was like a month-long recovery, but it was off season. You know, played really well my sophomore year in the fall, and then went and got the surgery. And it's like my dad knew. Like, they gave me, obviously, it's 2015, so they gave me a bunch of hydrocodone to take home. And I would, like, sneak them, you know what I mean? But my dad was keeping count. Like, he was counting those. So it was like, but my mom was like, she wouldn't do that, you know what I mean? So he's blaming me, and then I'm like, "Mom, he's blaming me and for taking them." And it wasn't like a crazy amount, but when he sent me back to school, he only gave me like 5 or something like that. So then you're hitting up other people, and that's another thing about college sports is you've got tons of people that have injuries and get surgery. So there's, at that time, a ton of prescription, like, hard medication, like
Yeah.
Hydros, Percocet, Oxys, like, people have a
You have
bunch
a
of them.
torn ACL? Do you have any oxy? Like that kind of thing?
Yeah, like, you got an arm surgery? I know you have. Like, my roommate was just stocked up, like, huge bottles of stuff, and I was just like, she had gotten an arm surgery or meniscus or this or I don't remember what it was. It was, like, 2 different surgeries, and so she had a bunch, and so there was one girl who had wisdom teeth, and she had hydrocodone, so she ended up giving me the rest, and that was the first time I drank, was that night. I was taking them, and I drank a bunch, and I, like, felt like I was gonna die, and it could have been anxiety or, like, paranoia, but, like, I was like, "You need to take me to the hospital, like, right now." And then I was like, I was not doing well. So, they put me in the car, were, like, trying to lean my seat back, it, like, flung back in, like, one of my friend's, like, 2000s vehicles, and it just flung back, and I, like, came back to where I was just, like, more coherent because it was scared me, and I was just, like, the worst part is, like, I felt like I needed to go to the hospital, like, I never went to the hospital, so the fact I was like, "No, you need to take me," I think I'm, like, mixed the alcohol with the pills, and, like, I took 5 pills today, and, like, it's just not good, like, I don't feel like normal, but I had to sit there and debate, like, "Okay, if I go and my coach finds out, then I'm done." And so it's like, well, if I don't go, I could die or worse or something, like, not worse, but, like, I don't know, have a seizure, like, I don't know what's gonna happen. And so I sat there and was, like, contemplating the hospital, and I ended up not going. I obviously was fine the next day, but that really spiraled me into back to drinking again because it's like I was sitting, obviously not practicing. I had all this time to drink, so it was every day again of drinking
I asked,
after that.
do you mind me asking how you were consuming the pills? Were you just like taking
Just
them orally, or were you snorting them? Or...
No, it was just taking them orally. The thing, I I'm like a straight alcoholic. Like, there was, like, obviously, like, some addiction to, like, everything, so it's like when you start taking them, 'em, you're like, "Oh, I love how I feel." But the minute that happened where I was like, "Oh, I took 5 all across the day," then I decided that night randomly to drink, and after that, I was like, "'Kay, I'm never taking pills again," and that's really what it was like, yeah, there was instances after that, but it wasn't like, oh, an instant addiction to pills where I felt like I needed them and I had to go buy them or anything like that. It was pretty much all alcohol after that.
But you just knew the pills in that experience, it was turning into something more scary than fun at that point.
Yeah, like, I think if my dad wouldn't have taken them, like, that would have given me more time to, like, over, like, a week to, like, take 5 a day or whatever the situation may have been, and I feel like then I would have been in more of a chance. There would have been more of an opportunity for me to get, like, seriously hooked on them because it was still the same addict mentality, and, like, I was like, "Oh, I love the way I feel when I take these," but it wasn't alcohol.
So then you said it after that, it just progressed to only alcohol because you were sitting out.
Yeah, it was just alcohol. It was just alcohol for I ended up quitting the team for our coach did some messed up things, and so, we got a choice. It was like, "You can quit the team and keep your scholarship, or you can just decide to keep playing." And I was like, "Okay, I do not like this guy, and I don't wanna play for this team anymore, and I'm over softball, and also I wanted to drink." Like, that was a huge part of it is, like, I was like, "Oh, if I quit, I get to keep my scholarship, finish school, and get to drink every single day." And I was literally drinking from sunup to sundown. Like, I took like, couple online classes. I think I had 1 class in class, never went. Um, yeah, it was every day, it was all day. Handles, it was, like, scraping the bottom of the bottle on, um, Sundays, like, if I didn't stock up, like, it was, like, if I ran out, like, I was panicking, and,
Yeah.
like, trying to find someone's house to go to, whatever. And I wasn't even 21 at the time, so it's, like, just scrambling.
Do you think you were drinking? Can you describe like a 24-hour period during that?
Yeah, like, in my room by myself. The only time I would drink with other people is if I, like, ran out of alcohol and had to leave my room. Like, I just became this reclusive, like, I would go to the baseball guys' houses, but that was only when I needed alcohol. Like, and I would hang out with them, obviously, to, like, get drunk. You know what I mean? And so, most of the time, I didn't run out was the thing. So, I spent 24 hours in my room, like, whether I slept, like, sometimes I'd be up till 3 in the morning drinking and then sleep yay long, wake up with, like, withdrawals. At the time, I didn't know those were withdrawals that I was experiencing. I just thought I had a really bad hangover.
I always thought I was having panic attacks, and I would end up at the hospital, and the first thing they would ask is, "How much have you been drinking?" I'm like, "I drink like a regular college kid," but realizing later, I'm like, "Yeah, I was going through withdrawals that whole time,
Oh, yeah,
shaking and not breathing."
and I was
So
just
frustrating.
and it was horrible. It was like, yeah, I can definitely relate to that because it was like the withdrawal. I didn't really even hear that word until rehab. So it was like, I didn't know. I'm like, "Oh, this is just a bad hangover." You know what I mean? Or like, I didn't even realize I had anxiety. Like, it was just, yeah, I was just drinking. Like, when I moved out, like, when I dumped, there was so many bottles of alcohol under my bed because I just pushed them all under my bed. And I ended up leaving early from school because they, like, were like, "Yeah, you can finish that other class that's in person online." And I was like, "Peace, I'm out. I can't be here anymore." My mom was like, "I want you to come home." Like, because they'd call and I would just be obliterated and acting like I'm not. And so I yeah, there were so many bottles of alcohol in my bed. There's probably 100, like, I wanna say, like, 50 to 75. That's being generous, like, it's probably more of, like, 100, but I don't
Wow.
wanna
All like
overestimate.
vodka, hard alcohol type of thing.
Yeah, yeah, like, bottom shelf. Someone said the word the other day, Bartons, and I, like, perked up, like, it was someone, like, other guy was like, "It's a trigger." For sure, because it was, like, $7 vodka, $7 whiskey. I can't even remember the names of
Like
the
brokers or something. Yeah.
plastic handles.
Yeah, I remember those. Those were so you most of your drinking during that period was solitary instead of going out and socializing. It wasn't really for fun anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, like, a majority of my drinking. I mean, there was a time where I was, like, going out to parties, and I was, like, the most drunk person there, of course. But during that period, it was obvious that I was experiencing depression or something, being out there without my family, not playing softball, not really going to class. So there's no socializing, and it's like not going to parties. Like, yeah, that was it.
Did you have much of a support system as far as friends went? I mean, besides your
Not
family
really.
worried about you, did you have anybody else to talk to?
Like, people, I had a girlfriend back in Utah at the time. And then I had some friends from the team that I known that were from Utah and they still played on the team. But I wouldn't see, like, them as much because it's like they're playing, they're traveling, it's spring ball, it's busy. And so, it wasn't like I didn't have that busy schedule anymore.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. Yeah, so you didn't just naturally have all the healthy distractions that you used to, like, "Oh, I have to get up for practice. Oh, I have to go to this."
It was like all of a sudden it's like, and I started working at a bar. I forgot that part. That was like for a few months. So it was like, then I'm making like more money than I've ever made because you're getting like tips. And like I was only 19 at the time. And so it's like $300 a night is pretty good. I mean, even on a regular day, that's pretty good. So it's like, yeah, I'd bring in like however much. And I only worked like twice a week, like one weekend night and like one day a week. So it wasn't that much. So that was about the only socializing I did. But I mean, no offense. It's just like a bunch of small town Kansas people. Like they're not people you really want to be hanging out with. Like people that just get drunk at the bar all day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Just the bar regulars.
Yeah, that was it. And that was my friend group.
Okay, so after you made the decision, due to, your parents obviously stepping in too, after leaving school, what happened after that?
I didn't really drink over the summer. Like I did, I had a few times where I would actually go to a party or whatever and I would drink. I went through a really hard breakup that fall. So it was a little rough. Like that was the whole summer, like the relationship was very rocky and not good for me at all. And I had decided, or we stopped talking, and that was like, in my drunken state, like saying things that I shouldn't have said, and then it's like we're never speaking again. Like we never spoke again after that. And at that time I had already started, like the breakup happened in like beginning of August. So beginning of August, even though I was still talking to her, I was drinking all day, every day. Like I worked at a store and I would work a couple days a week, not much in the summer. And so it was almost like the crutch was that relationship was keeping me sober over the summer because there's in the spring and the summer because there was no other reason that, because before that it's like I'm depressed in Kansas drinking, you know what I mean? And then I come home and like there's a few times I drink, but for the most part it was like I turned that off. And then the minute the relationship ended, I was drinking all day, every day again. And, obviously not when I had work, that was good. But like the night before, the day that I didn't like any time, like, I'd start drinking early and not stop. And it wasn't like I was going out to parties or anything at that point. So yeah, I was just drinking on my own. My parents got a divorce that same year in September of 2016.
You're dealing with some traumas at the same time,
That's what I
Yeah.
realized too. I think about that. I'm like, yeah, there was a breakup, and then also my parents were like splitting up after 20 years. So it was like,
Yeah, that's a confusing time for sure.
yeah,
Um, yeah, I'm sorry to hear that. Were
yeah, it
there
was okay.
other things that were going on that you think led to drinking as much as you were in the first place? Whether it be that time period after the breakup or like while you're in school, besides
Well,
anxiety and depression?
yeah, I quit going to school. Like I quit school. So like I was signed up to go, or I guess signed up. I don't know. I had met with an advisor or whatever at the college, at the university, and I decided not to go back. Like I was like, and I put it off, like and didn't tell my parents like until it was time to start school. And then it was like, oh yeah, I'm not gonna do it this semester. So I got a like call center job or something. My mom got it for me through a friend with Marriott. And it was, like, the worst probably thing. Well, it was, like, there's a freedom because it's getting paid, like, definitely more than I made at the sports store that I worked at when I was in college over the summers. So, it's, like, there's that, plus yeah, I have that. I don't have really bills because 'cause I'm still living with my mom, and I think that just amplified things because it's like, okay, now I have money to blow, and I'm going through this breakup, and I'm doing all these things. My parents are going through this. My mom's, like, out of town, like, out of sight. I love her, but, like, she definitely, and she was going through hell too, like, that was awful, like, the breakup their divorce, so whatever she needed was fine. It was just, like, she was gone a lot. So I was stuck at home with my 16-year-old sister. And it's like, then I'm able to drink, like, even on days that I have work, because it's like nobody's home. Like, I don't have to go to a party to drink. Like, I can just drink at home. My mom's not going to know. That was that, right? So that's really,
So you had
that
all the
probably didn't
freedom and
help.
time in the world to kind of deal with
Yeah.
everything that had taken place.
So it
Nobody to
just,
watch over you.
yeah, it was a downhill. It was this downward spiral, to say the least. Started off bad, but it got, like, I like when they say, like, my favorite thing is, like, not favorite thing, but the favorite thing to say is, like, you think your rock bottom's bad, but it gets worse. Like,
Yeah.
it gets so
So we
much
can break
worse.
through that rock is what I say.
Yeah, I love that. Like, I love that in, like, a way of, like, being able to compare it, because I didn't know it could get worse, and it just did. I was, like, drinking, I was going to parties. Probably in, like, November, I met a new, not new, but, like, my high school ex, like, had some friends. They went to a different school, so it was like, uh, all these people went to a different school, so I knew some of them, like, from that relationship, but like, I didn't know them that well, but we started, like, hanging out in probably November or December with some of them, and then, fast forward to January, February, it's like, I'm hanging out with these people every weekend. Like, we become really good friends. Like, a lot of them I'm still really good friends with. It's not that, like, they weren't, it was me, right? Like, I was the problem. Like, it didn't matter who I was hanging out with. Like, it could be my friends from high school or friends that I just met. I was still the problem. Like, it was my alcoholism. So, yeah, I ended up throwing a massive party at my mom's house. She was out of town, obviously. It was like, he had said the cops had showed up, but I passed out by, like, 10 PM. Like, I had been drinking, like, the whole afternoon and night, that I passed out at, like, maybe 10, and then woke up again around, like, midnight or something. But then around, like, probably later, like 1, maybe at the time, somebody might see this and say I have the time messed up, but someone kicked they were playing beer pong, and this guy threw the ball, and, like, I don't know why he kicked back and shattered my mom's stove, the glass part of the oven.
Yeah.
So the oven was just destroyed. And I was just like, at the moment, I'm, like, drunk as fuck. So I was like, oh my God. And my sister had left, because my sister was like, I don't want any part in this. She went with her boyfriend, like, to his house, because she's like, before that happened. And then I was like, well, pretty much, like, the party on, like, there's nothing we can do about this till the morning. Like, I really just remember, like, being like, oh my God, and, like, kneeling next to it for, like, maybe 30 seconds. And I'm like, let's just clean up the glass and keep it going.
What can you do?
And I ended up passing out again. Like, I was just, like, asleep pretty much the whole party. Like, there was just very rare occurrences where I was, like, remember being lucid, and they were like, "No," like, the cops showed up. Somebody had to go talk to them. Um, then, like, sketchy people showed up at, like, 3 or 4 in the morning, and they were like, mind you, like, my mom has all this expensive stuff in her house, like, obviously, like, there's my stuff, there's my sister's stuff, like, there's all this stuff that people could steal, and, like, they're like, "Yeah, these sketchy people we didn't know showed up." And they're like, and we told them they had to leave and the party was over. So, yeah, the next day we were scrambling. The guy gave me a little bit of money, but, like, for the stove, but I was like, "I have to replace this stove, like, today." And I'm like, I got, like, $1,000 credit card limit, and I was like, rang it up, and I bought some shitty stove because they're so expensive that it was like $700 didn't get you really anything like as good as what my mom had. So my sister and her boyfriend and everybody hauled it out, put it in a truck, dropped it at my dad's house, and was like, "Oh, shoot, we dropped it while trying to move it and it shattered." And then we loaded up this shit stove into the kitchen, and yeah, I was like, "Oh, mom," and this is around, I don't remember what it was, her birthday almost, and I'm like, "Hey, mom, I bought you a stove for your birthday." Like, it was just the most
You're gonna wonder
ridiculous.
what your excuse was.
It was that. I'm like, I bought you a stove for your birthday. And then that lasted like at that point, I hadn't even seen my mom. She was out of town. My brother played college baseball in Kansas too. So my brother was playing baseball. My mom was visiting my brother. She gets home. I'm like at my buddy's house who was at the party, like all of us threw the party together. They call me and my mom's like, tell me right now what the happened. And I was like, nothing. Like, whoa, girl can't do a good deed once in a while. And she's like, no, tell me right now. And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, just the ultimate gaslighter. And so I'm like, that shouldn't happen. I don't know what you're talking about. And she's like, the cops called my dad and were like, we went by your ex-wife's house yesterday, just FYI. Like, some random kid walked up and like introduced himself out from outside. We didn't go in the house because we just knew that this was not going to be good. And they're like, but there was 100 cars. We want to say, I don't know if they were exaggerating or if that was for real, but they're like, there was like 100 cars parked between all the neighborhoods, like up and down the streets.
Jesus.
Leading up to your house. So there's very obvious that there was a lot of people there. I don't know if they were there all at once, but there was a lot of people there. And, obviously at that point I was like, well, I'm caught. Yeah, okay. Sorry, my bad. And then it was like, my mom's fed up and I'm like, you know what? I don't have to live there. Like, I don't got to deal with this. It's ridiculous. A girl can't throw a party. Like, and I packed my stuff, which I was at my friend's house, so I can't recall whether I must have went over when my mom was at home or something. And I threw stuff in a bag, like I had 2 bags worth of stuff. I move in with my guy friend, okay? Mind you, there's 3 people living in this 3-bedroom. Some random dude, like, sleeping on one end of the couch. And then there's me sleeping on the other end of the couch. I'm just like, this is life. Like, this is it. Like, and we threw parties there all the time. So I'm like, this is sweet. Like, I got a sweet deal. I think it was like 300, maybe $300 a month or something for that sliver of the couch. And like, I had like
That's quite the setup at that time.
in the plastic tote in his closet. He got a walk-in closet. So like I pitched mind you, this guy is like my best friend now. Like he is the biggest supporter of my sobriety, always has been. But I set up this like plastic tote in his, like, with drawers in his closet, and that's where my clothes went. But I had anxiety, and so the doctor prescribed me. Well, I didn't know it was Xanax, but because it was the generic or name or whatever it was.
Lorazepam or clonazepam.
Yes. So I didn't know. Like, I did know after, like, somebody had told me, oh, you got Xanax, because people were asking me for them. And I wasn't really taking them, like, regularly. Like, once again, not a huge pill person, like, pretty scared, especially with how much I was drinking. But I would take one, and my friends were like, and they told me this after, is like, we couldn't tell if you were breathing, like, because I would drink from 5 p.m. after work, and then 9 o'clock rolled around, and like pretty soon after starting drinking, like, and then getting excessive, I would just pass out. And they were like, yeah, we couldn't tell if you were breathing or not. Like, I feel like, and then they were like, it's the mixing the pills with the alcohol, like, or something, because
I was
you're
doing that
passing
same
out
thing when I was
quick.
prescribed Xanax. It was dangerous. And I would black out all the time.
That's what I'm saying. I don't remember hardly anything from those nights. Like, I just remember my guy friend was finally like, listen, like, at the time we weren't good friends yet. So it was like, I just had kind of been like, hey, can I live at your house? Like, is that cool? And like, out of nowhere. And so he's like, yeah, like, no, like, you're going to have to go, like, stay somewhere else after like a month or something. So then, I was like getting drunk there one night, and he's like, yeah, well, we're going out, because they're all like 21. So, and I was still 20, and they're like, we're going out. So yeah, you can't stay here. Like, because it was like, I realized after, and we became close, like, that he was scared I was going to die in his house. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like trying to be it's just like, I wouldn't stop drinking. So the only thing to do is to like try to remove me from that situation so that it's not on you, like, right? And so I remember getting my car and I drove to my mom's house and I was like drunk. And I just remember driving to my mom's and being like crying. And I'm like, can I please just stay here? And then it's like moved back in, like, you know what I mean? So it was like a month, probably a month and a half or something of like, but then it's by the time he like kicked me out or whatever it was. So then, yeah, I'm staying back with my mom and I'm still drinking all the time, but it's like, oh, I can't drink if I stay here. Like, so I go to like other friends' houses and then it's like, they're like, okay, on like night 3, like you can't stay here. But I'm going on like benders for like 3 nights. So I'm like sleeping in my car because I'm like,
Want to
well, I want to
continue
get
to
more
party.
drunk.
Yeah.
So, I started doing that and like, I would stay wherever. And that was that whole time was like the beginning of the end for me. Like I started drinking after work, during work. So I was drinking after work. I started drinking vodka at the time was what I was drinking, like handle.
During
I
work,
would
what type of work was it at the time?
same thing like call center at the Marriott.
And you were like sneaking in and into work or at the
No, I was
car?
drinking in my car during breaks and like lunch and stuff. So it was just like getting drunk. We go take a break, me and this girl, and she wouldn't do it all the time, but like I would definitely do it. Like we'd started it together where it was like, oh, let's just drink a little bit. And then it was like more fun. And then it's like, I have to take it though to the next level of like getting completely sloshed. And that's when I started going on benders. So it was like, there was like a point system with like work and I had this schedule where like every other week I got 3 days off. So I was like, oh, Wednesday and Thursday, that's only 2 points out of the 6 or whatever you get before you get a write up. So I would just take those 2 days. So I go on a 5-day bender and I remember one of the times I was house sitting. And that's when, during this period of time is like, there was this older lady, mind you, I'm 20 years old. She's 40. I want to say 42. My poor parents, they've learned so much about me lately. She's probably 42. And yeah, she was like, oh, she wasn't my team lead. It was just this whole managerial thing. She was a manager. She was like, yeah, like, you want to come help me with this project? And I was like, yeah, sure, like, whatever. I get to not be on this phone. And so I went and helped her, and she made a comment about liking girls. And I was like, oh, because she said something about, I don't remember, probably creepy though. And I was just not realizing at the time. And I was desperate for a place to drink, pretty much is how that rolled out. Like, it was like a comment, and then I was like, and I went back to my desk, and it was just go on with the rest of the day. And I'm like, oh, let me come see you. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't remember how she got my number. Probably gave it to her. But I was just like, yeah, like, let me come over. Because it's just like, oh my God, this is the most perfect scenario for me. Not really, but it's like, I can go, at the time I would like go on benders, chain smoke cigarettes, drink vodka all day. I'm like, this is perfect because now I have a place to do it. I have like this house, you know what I mean? Perfect. Okay. I like to go on benders and not do anything except for sit in bed or on the couch and drink and go through my phone and and listen to music. So I'm like, perfect. Like, then also it was like, I have someone to buy me alcohol. So it couldn't have gotten more perfect in my mind. And I'm like, and I can just leave my mom's for like 4 days. So I'm not drinking at my mom's house. I can just go stay with this weirdo. No offense, but like, it was just like the weirdest situation where she's like, yeah, come hang out. And it was like, oh, well, I have to Uber because I'm already drunk. So, you know what I mean? Like, I
Yeah.
can't drive, which I was driving a lot of the time. That was something I've talked about, is like, that's one thing I can't, like, I don't know why God blessed me to, like, never hurt anybody or crash into anybody, but it's like, yeah, during that time period when I'm going on benders, I try not to leave the house, but, like, if I had to go somewhere and get cigarettes, like, yeah, I'm driving drunk, but it was especially when I was drinking during work
Yeah, those
that
are things we don't realize till later, how often we were driving intoxicated and how dangerous it was, you know?
yeah, and now you hear stories about it, and it's like, okay, first of all, that's horrible, and second of all, like, thinking back, it makes me sick because 'cause I'm like, "Oh my god, that could have been me," right? Like, and people are going to jail for 30 years now for driving drunk and killing people, like, I'm like, I got so for somehow, some way, like, got lucky in that standpoint, but, yeah, it was just like, I don't know, this was just, like, the perfect storm to, like, kind of, like, going to rehab. Like, it was like I was so down, like, so bad that I was doing that, like, that it was, like, doing things that, like, I would have never done sober, and it's just it was pretty bad. It was awful, and so,
Do you
I
mind me
did that.
asking, did you feel like that person who was technically enabling you, but, like, offering, "Hey, come over to our house," and stuff like that, did they feel like they had some kind of, like, expectations from you just for, like,
Yeah,
company or what?
yeah, it was, like, it was, like, non-consensual, like, I was blacked out, and I truly, like, mean that, like, I have moments like, moments that I remember, and I, like, would come out of it where I can recollect stuff now, but 90% of it, I was way too drunk and blacked out to consent to anything, let alone do I remember anything, but, yeah, there was expectations that came along with that where it's like a relationship, but it's like, to me, that wasn't a relationship, like, I was not interested, but it's like, all I was interested in was, "Buy me alcohol, buy me cigarettes, let me stay at your house for 5 days to go on a bender." That was what I was getting out of it, but it's like, I got so desperate that I was like, I fucked over all my friends, like, I put them in positions where it's like they can't help me, you know what I mean? Like, hardly, and it's like, I can't stay with you, so now I'm, like, really desperate, and that's what I did.
Alright, so how did it carry on past that and into, like, what would you say is your rock bottom? Or, like, what was the last 24 hours like before you decided it's time to go to rehab? Or
No, we're there. No, we're there. It was like that was a whole month before, and then all of a sudden I was drinking, and I, like, kind of knew I had gone on so many days of, like, literal benders that I had racked up enough points for, like, my second write up, and, like, the third one, you're done. So, that was a lot of work to miss, like, 12 days or 14 days or something like that, that I had missed to and that was specifically to drink. There was no other reason. I wasn't doing anything else. So, I went to a job interview because I kinda knew I don't know why I was like, "Oh, this is the end, here." And I started drinking before the job interview at, like, noon, and I left work and to go, and I got the time off, and it was kinda like one of those places where you have to get time off, and you have to get someone to cover and all this stuff. So, I put in my last hour and 45 minutes in, like, the pool to get picked up, and I ended up going to the job interview, which was some like, kiosk at Costco, and they were gonna pay me, like, $8 an hour, and I was like, "Oh, yeah, this isn't doable, that's crazy." So, I go back, I'm sitting in the parking lot at work getting drunk, and, like, checking to see if someone picks up the hours so I don't have to go back in. Well, no one does, so I go in, and I am just at my desk, I'm working, it's probably the last 45 minutes of work, and my boss is like emails me, he's like, "Hey, can you come in my office?" So I'm like, "Oh, this is the write-up," like, which it was. She's like, "You got your points." Um, I sit down and I'm like, "Hi, how are you doing?" And I'm like glassy eyes, haven't showered, I mean, rewind a little bit, sorry. The night before this, I the the night before, I drank at that lady's house. I came home the next day at, like, noon. 2 o'clock, I fell asleep. 8 o'clock, I wake up to 2 o'clock PM. I fall asleep. 8 PM, I wake up, and I'm, like, on my floor. I'd passed out in, like, a pile of clothes, like, on my floor, drunk. I get in my car. Well, I look at my phone, and I'm like, "Holy shit, I feel like I'm getting drunker, but, like, I've gotta go to work." And so I'm, like, scrambling. I'm, like, getting ready. I've, like, clearly not showered for, like, 5 days. Like, I have makeup down my eyes, all this stuff. I get in my car, I drive to go buy cigarettes, I come back, I'm like, "Holy shit, I just feel like I am so fucked up." Like, it feels like I'm getting drunker, and it's, like, the morning. Like, that's crazy. So, I get back in my car after, like, laying down for a minute because I had a minute before I had to leave, and I start driving, and I'm, like, in my head, I'm like, "Why is it getting darker outside?" Like, and I was, like, halfway down, like, probably a mile and a half from my house, and I realized I was like, "Oh my god, it's 8 PM, not 8 AM."
Wow.
Yeah, no, it was crazy because I was, like, freaking out because 'cause I'm like it felt like I explained this to my mom the other day. I was like, it felt like I had an IV of alcohol, like, going into me. That's how drunk I felt, like, and it was worse, like, than I felt, like, when I passed out. It's like I woke up and I was just so, like, gone still. So that's how the night before went. I come home, I'm lighting a cigarette in my car, and I light my hair on fire, like, this part of my hair, and then I just, like, put it out. It went up far, and I put it out. And so that morning when I had the job interview slash got called in, I go I'm doing my mascara, which is, like, once again, probably have the same mascara on for 5 days, like, haven't showered, haven't taken care of myself. So I go to put it on the side, I go to this side, and they're all singed off. Like, I have no eyelashes left. Like, they were gone. They were gone. So I'm, like,
Yeah.
texting my best friend, I'm like, "Please, can you go get some fake eyelashes from the store and bring them to my work? Because this is, like, not good. This is, like, bad." And she pulled up with them, after, like, an hour and put them on me, and she was just like, "Dude, you're not good." Like, she was like, "Okay, you are not, like," because she was like, "First of all, I'm, like, still, like, clearly very withdrawing hungover from the night before." And she's just like, "You're not good and you smell like alcohol." And, like, I was like, "Oh, fuck," kinda, like, moment. So, fast forward to the call-in when she called me in the office that day, she's just like, "You gotta give me a minute." And, like, I was like, "Oh, shit." Like, I kinda knew I was caught at that moment because I was just like, I'm really drunk. Like, I really did think someone was picking up my shift, which isn't a excuse to get that wasted, but I was like, "Okay, it's fine, I won't have to go in." She goes and gets HR, and they pull me in, and they're like, "Okay, you need to tell us right now, like, you're obviously on something, like, intoxicated, taking something, what is going on?" And I was like, "Nothing, I'm good." And it's just, like, probably slurring my words. They're like, "Your eyes are glassy, you smell like alcohol." Like, it's very obvious. And I was just like I was, like, ride or die, and I'm like, "Nope." So they escort me by, like, 3 people out to Uber and put me in an Uber, drive me to a clinic. I was sitting there, like, they were, like, trying to breathalyze me. I took a UA. They were trying to breathalyze me. I was like I had never been breathalyzed, so I, like, was, like, barely blowing into it, thinking that, like, somehow I was gonna, I don't know, throw off the breathalyzer, and the nurse is like, "Okay, you need to, like, actually blow into this." And I was like, "Well, what if I just, like, left? Could they fire me if I just left?" And she's like, "Well, yeah, that's gonna be counted as, like, you're intoxicated. Like, they'll count that as a negative, that you're positive." And so I was like, "Okay, fine." So I finally gave up. It was like a good, like, 15 minutes these nurses are trying to get me to do this. When I blew, it was like a 0.37. And the nurse told my boss, like, she walked me out to the lobby, and she was like, she blew a 0.37. Like, and I'm going to tell you right now, this is what the nurse said. I'm going to tell you right now that any normal person would be blacked out, possibly on their way to having seizures, alcohol poisoning, like all the full nine at that point. But she's like walking and talking, which means that she's doing this. She's drinking every day, constantly. Like, that's what that is. It's tolerance. Like, you should be like walking, talking, even though she's slurring. Like, so they gave him the whole rundown, and my boss just started crying. She like obviously really cared. Like, they did. They all really cared. And it was like, you need to get help. Like, she was like, my dad was an alcoholic and I just can't see it. He died from it. Like, you don't understand. Like, this is going to kill you. And I was like, yeah, it's been going on for a long time, like a year at this point almost. She's like, we're going to need to do something. So obviously, I didn't get to keep my job, but they were very supportive with getting me into rehab. That was probably the worst that it got.
Wow.
I mean, I think, yeah, that was probably one of the lowest points.
So that's when you went to rehab then, was after
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was intense.
Sorry. I said a lot.
No, it's really good for listeners to hear more relatable stories like that. Because I mean, I blew a .34 when I had my DUI, and I remember them saying the same thing. They're just like, "Yeah, there's no way you should be walking, talking, and acting all fine right now. Most people would be in the hospital at this rate." And I'm like, "Yeah, I've been doing this for days and months." It's
Yeah.
frightening.
Yeah. It was really scary. It
Yeah,
was
I'm
like
sorry.
really
So
low.
I appreciate you sharing all of that so honestly. So what did it lead to now? Like, what's your life been like since treatment? What tools did you bring out of there to do what you're doing now?
Um, we've talked about it, but like, I think, my aftercare plan was huge. I don't believe in 2017, like, and maybe thereafter, that they really pushed aftercare as much as I do. I think aftercare isn't just like going to somebody's IOP or PHP. It's important, but like going to a therapist long term, like lifelong going to therapy, it's very important. Going to see a psychiatrist and getting on the correct medications that you're supposed to be on is very important, and checking in every 3 to 6 months or whatever they say. Like, that's very important. Support groups, whether that be AA or anything else, like, doesn't I'm not like one. I've done AA, I've done NA, CA, I've been all of them. It's just it's whatever works for you. But I think that that's super important. And, I push to my clients, like, building connections outside. If you don't wanna go to AA, that's fine. It's just the easiest probably way to meet people, but, like, there's also activities and doing that, and I think, you know, kinda getting a hold on the sober community. And I moved to Florida for a little while, so I have a sober community out there of, like, great people, and that's awesome to have too, is just to have super supportive people in my life. And that's what really, like, when I started doing regular therapy, like, my mental health definitely tanked, like, for a little while after the pandemic. And so it was like going to regular therapy started about a year and a half ago, and getting on the correct medications, like, that was that was over a few years, but I finally got on the right stuff, and it's like after that, it was off to the races. Like, I was back in school. I was like, this is really what I want to do. Like, I want to work in this field. Like, I had worked as a grave tech overnight at a rehab. And I was like, yeah, I think I want to do this. And so I ended up enrolling back in school. And I don't know, it all led to really good things when I started like taking care of not just staying sober, but worrying about the mental health side of it too, because I think that's not that it's overlooked, but it's just very important
I
because
agree.
it
I
plays
agree.
into relapse.
When we talked on the phone and you were talking about all the mental faculties that have to do with sobriety and potential relapse and all the stuff that goes into aftercare. I always thought that was important because when I got it, treatment saved my life, but as soon as I stepped out those doors, I felt like it was just, I was off to the races on my own. I didn't feel okay. I'll just go to 90 meetings in 90 days, and I did, and it worked. But I didn't feel like there was anybody there to kind of guide me. So I kind of wish I had that kind of mentor or coaching getting out of treatment. And that would have made such a huge difference. But that's kind of
Yeah,
what you do now, though. Can you kind of give like a description of how you work with like an individual client?
how I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's person to person, obviously. I'm really big on like personally, and I know this isn't part of the treatment plan, like or the ASAM or anything like that. Like when we're working with clients or a clinical standpoint, but I stand really firm on growing your support network in recovery, getting a job. Okay, working because I don't want to just be like, yes, I'm there for your recovery needs and substance abuse. Like we're here to talk about all of that, like and coping skills, like all there. But I also like on top of that, and like with this, let's be realistic, like your life now has been, your life forever has been not having a job, not taking care of yourself, just doing drugs, just drinking, whatever the situation might be. And it's just like, okay, like now we got to make you a regular, like a person that works and goes to meetings and builds a life like as normal as it can be. And I think that's one of the huge things that pushes me is just like being like, okay, like there's so many things we need to work on. You know what I mean? Like coping skills, um, and getting through, the substance abuse part of it. But I think that also helping them build their life like as much as possible outside of treatment is really important too. Cause it's like, I'm not going to be there forever. I'm just part of your IOP, right? Like, you're going to graduate at some point, but I want you to have all the tools to like go out there and like live as normal of a life as you want to live, and like have a job and have support groups and go to school or whatever you want to do.
Setting goals, attaining them.
Setting goals is huge, short term and long term.
Great. I like that. That's
Yeah.
and as you said, you're going to school to your master's or you have your master's?
No, I'm in school to get my
In school
master's.
now. Okay.
Yeah.
How long have what was your sobriety date for listeners?
My sobriety date is because I had a slip up in 2021 at the end of the year. So I am April 14th, 2023.
Okay. Awesome.
So 2.5
So
years.
life is good now. What you said when you got out of treatment and started working with people, has that helped you stay sober just working with others?
I think it was, it was a good little while after I got out of, or when I didn't go to treatment, when I got sober, I just slipped up and then I ended up in Florida and got sober. So it was like, I think that getting into that field has definitely helped me stay sober. But I just put it all on pretty much the way that I've just like built my life around self-care, therapy, things like that. Like it's all played a part into this time where it's like, no, I'm really done this time.
Good. Do you since I myself would have longer sobriety had I not slipped up slightly less than a year ago. So do you have any advice for our listeners on who are struggling right now, who also could be at, a certain point where they could have had slip ups as well? Do you have any advice to people about how
I
to get
think
into recovery, how to stay sober, how to avoid those slip ups, maybe what channels to use to make sure that doesn't happen?
having a relapse prevention plan, whether you're in therapy in rehab or not, is incredibly important. I think having support system of people that know they like if you're kind of going north or in the wrong direction, if you're going south, then they know how to react and try to help. I don't think that always is the answer, because I think sometimes people will avoid it and they will avoid people that are trying to help them because they're really going towards that like triggers. Staying away, making your life as simple as possible and staying away from things that trigger you. So if it's relationships or you're like in toxic relationships, absolutely, you gotta like have to go work through that with a therapist. Like there's just so many ways that you can prevent relapse. You just have to be willing to like be open-minded and explore just like whatever that might be, whether it might be fitness, whether it's, well, you should always go to therapy, support groups, support activities where you like have a support system and you just do sober softball or whatever it is. Like, so you have those people behind you that it's like, okay, if you start to go that way, then maybe you can have, maybe they can save you. It's like not save you, but they can help
And
the
have
process
resources, good
and be
people to
there
go
for you. But it's really about, it's coping ahead with things and like having a plan set that it's like, I'm going to pretty much prevent this as much as possible by doing all of these things that's going to help me to stay sober.
Did you say coping ahead?
Yeah,
I like that. I don't know why, but of all the times
it's a
things
cope
I've heard
ahead.
related to coping, I've never heard it said like that, and that makes so much sense. So thank
Cope
you.
ahead. It's a
Yeah.
GBT skill. So it's like just like worst case scenarios, like you can build it in your head and how you're going to handle it if that comes up. And obviously you don't need to overthink things, but if you have like something happening in your life and you're like trying to figure out a way to like worst case scenario be able to handle it, like that's the best way to do it.
No, that's a great idea, and honestly, I'm gonna quote that on the show for sure. Write
I
that one
love
down.
that.
Speaking of quotes, is there any quotes that stand out that you live by, like quotes about life that you would like to share? I kind of like to have that in every episode.
Okay, this is Mike the Situation said this in 2020 when he got sober. He said the comeback is greater than the setback. And I live by it. Like my business page, like I put that quote, like the comeback is greater than the setback. And I've held on to that for 5 years now. So
Yeah, I was a big Jersey Shore fan, so that's good.
yeah, me too. So when he got sober and got out of prison, I was like, hell yeah, I'm here. I can't remember if it was a podcast or what I watched. And he said that. And I was like,
Well, that's good.
okay, I'm keeping that.
I like that. Well,
I
thank you
still
so
use
much.
it.
Is there anything
Absolutely.
else you'd like to share that we didn't cover that?
No, I think you got the whole, yeah, I think you got every part. I don't think I've ever told this story. I did to my mom not even really the whole thing, but
Yeah.
yeah, I think you got the most out of me that anybody ever has. So
Well, I appreciate you being so raw and honest because it really, everything does help listeners little by little because so many people can relate to more than we even think. So
like if someone can relate to even like 30 seconds of that, like I did my job, I did what I'm supposed to do today. So that's good.
thank you. You were amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ryan. It was great. It was great. Thanks for having me.
All right. Talk to you later.
Okay, bye.
Rock Bottom with Ryan. No bullshit, just recovery.